Welcome, everybody. This is the inaugural Amplifying Her Voice Summit, and some of you have been here since 9 a.m. with me all day. Hope you've enjoyed the sessions, and for those of you who did not stick around all day, we had amazing talks by women from the Middle East and Arabic on blockchain and crypto, women speaking in Farsi, Russian. We're about to have another session in Portuguese. And just before this, we had the African Qrypto Queen session, which was fantastic, and talking about women and blockchain across West Africa, East Africa. And we had a special appearance by Jane Thomason from Australia. So we were able to connect all these continents, even though it was the Africa Women in Blockchain and Africa Qrypto Queen session. It's been a fantastic day. I mean, I don't know when other times I could have connected with so many women from around the world at a conference focused on women in blockchain, crypto, and DeFi now. We've got Zaji with us from Meta Gamma Delta and Cointelegraph joining us right after the session is over for Brazil. Super, super excited about the conversations we're going to be having here, focusing on blockchain and crypto in the islands. We might even get some people from Guyana or Bermuda joining us a little later. I saw some registrations come through, Genevieve, of people in the islands all over. So the word has spread. It's like, why are we left out? We didn't leave you out. We just didn't know. So this is great. We're getting French-speaking Caribbean today, and I'm thrilled to have our panelists with us today. We have some projects, we have some experts, and we have some community builders. So I'm going to let Genevieve take it from here, and I'm going to focus on getting Marina in while you guys take over, okay?
No problem. Thank you, everybody. You know how it is nowadays. Everything comes in at the same time. So thanks, Anu, for the pitch hitting. We are very happy to be part of this, and we look forward to creating a bigger community. And so happy that this is just not about Haiti, and this is a Caribbean movement. So today we're going to take you through a bit of a journey of the work we're doing in the different parts of Latin American and Caribbean island. We have with us, we have already with us Zazie, which will tell us about her journey. We also, as a pinch hitter, got Bettina, which is of Haitian descent and is based out of Boston area, and she works in the UX space. Of course, we have Joanne Bounani, which is the CEO of Geka, and Geka is an amazing firm in technology in Haiti, which also runs the financial audit and also the technical audit for most of the bank, and also is drawing technology conversation. And Joanne will tell you a little bit about the work we have done in terms of bringing the blockchain education in Haiti. And one of our featured students is Stephanie Joseph. And Stephanie, actually, unbeknownst to her, in December when we were talking about her project, she was creating an NFT, and she can tell us all about it. And myself, I am the CEO of AgriLedger, and we completed recently our implementation of, let's say, the final implementation and more work to come of a blockchain solution, which looks at the digitization of assets and allowing farmers to retain their ownership further down the value chain, which means making a fundamental difference in their earning potential. What we saw in the summer was an increase from 2% to 68% of the return, which is almost a 750% boost. But this is going to be first presentation, and I forgot Marina. We're waiting for Marina. Marina is doing some really cool, interesting work, and it just happens to be part of Latina, but the work is really looking globally at the effect of crypto in the life of women and how it could be used as a tool to not only empower, but also provide better liquidity for women and what's happening in the blockchain arena. So would love to start with Zazie. Zazie, you would be able to talk about yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for introducing all of us. That was amazing. So my name is Zaji Reyes. I'm of Colombian descent. I came to the States when I was really little, so no accent, but still speak Spanish. You know, all my family's from Colombia. I go back. I was there for Christmas as well, so very involved there. And my full-time job is to do partnerships and marketing for a company called Unstoppable Domains. So we're creating domains that simplify cryptocurrency addresses. So rather than having a long string of characters, you would just have, for me, Zaji.crypto. And so it really simplifies that process and onboards new users. We're really focused on expanding to Latin America and a lot of other regions. We're selling domains in different languages to make that happen. And we have community managers from all over the world. And then additionally, I'm a member of Meta Gamma Delta DAO. And what that is it's a decentralized autonomous organization focused on pushing forward women in the blockchain space. Marina will get here eventually, and she's a member as well, and so is Anu. And last year we raised over $30,000 and donated those to women in the space. And some of those were also Latin American women and women from all over the world. So very fun to be here. Thank you.
You're on mute, Genevieve. You're on mute.
Apologies. Zazie, I have a question. I would love to hear more about how some of the work you've done with the women in Latin America and the 30,000, what kind of project that went to help develop.
Yeah, so the $30,000 was distributed among 3 different women in the space that are building blockchain projects. Some of them were U.S. based and European based, but one of them went to Camila Russo. She's from South America, and she has a decentralized finance platform called The Defiant. It's a distribution of journalism as well as DeFi stats, and so to be able to help her was really exciting. And then the other women, one was for a project called Good Ghosting. It's a DeFi project as well, and then we also had Dada, which is an art project. So those were the 3 grantees.
Wonderful. Hopefully, and I'm warning the audience, there's quite a few of you here, and we're looking to really be able to have you interact with us. So first we'll be presenting a bit about the work we're doing, and then I really would like to make this a roundtable and be able to understand how we get more women and also the understanding. I think one of the challenges that we have in the area is really so much is in English. How do we make it become in the local language? I had wanted to make this in French, but I think we will go back to universal language, which is English, and eventually it will be one day crypto.
Do you want to start French at 6 o'clock? You could do that because we've recorded in Portuguese and we have like a Spanish session and Arabic and Persian. Like, I mean, you should if you want to do it in French at 6 o'clock.
Maybe next time.
Lazy. Just kidding.
We're looking at the list. I think we can go in English. So I would love to now give the floor to Joanne. So Joanne can talk to us a bit more about the work that she does in Haiti and also how she's getting involved more into crypto space.
Thank you, Genevieve. So nice to meet you, everybody. My name is Joanne. I've been practicing this for the past 25 years. We recently got involved a lot in what I would say would be transmitting knowledge with the Consensus Scholarship. Stephanie would tell you a little bit more about that. But essentially, I work with technology audits. I also work a lot with the credit unions in promoting financial inclusion by developing an application for them to have their banking application mobile and web. Because up to now, they've been working manually, and given the size that they have, they've been completely marginalized because of not being able to have access to the technology and to be able to offer different financial services to their clients. And basically, that's about it. That's all I do. It's my life.
Thank you. So it was a bit difficult to hear Joanne, but and she didn't give credit to herself the way. So one of the things that I had last July, at midnight, for some reason, I was up on my iPhone when I should have been sleeping, and there was something about a consensus scholarship being available for young women, and I got on, and Tessie Marin basically said, "Oh, yes, this is for the Consensus Academy, and it's a boot camp. And would you be able?" I said, "Well, I can get 2 or 3." She says, "What about 10?" So I said, "Okay, give me some time." And since it was early enough in Haiti, I called Joanne. I said, "Would you be interested in making this happen?" And from there, we basically started the work with one of our partners, which runs the technical school in Haiti. And we brought in about 14 young ladies, which are already technically pretty astute, and they went through the boot camp. But I think what was very important was the wraparound that was needed. It wasn't just they were given a scholarship, but they were also training done to understand communication, because obviously one of the things about blockchain is that we're working in a distributed world, and we're working with people who we may never see in person in our lives, but that for whom we need to be able to deliver. So when we talk about distributed opportunities of economics, we also should be looking at the distributed way of working, and understanding AML, understanding communications are very key to being able to get to clarity. So I'd like to commend Joanne for the work that she did, because not only did she do this, but also she made her office available to them, because as you can see, one of the challenges that Joanne herself is having is communication. And for many in Haiti, there will be issues with electricity, with transportation. Those are things that we don't think about. And those challenges don't only exist in Haiti. Unfortunately, they are the vein of many of the Caribbean countries. And this is why it's important to understand the wraparound. So it's not just bringing in the technology, but what else do we need to do in the 360 to make sure that women there are successful? So Bettina.
I also would like to add.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead,
Well,
Joanne.
also wanted to add that one of my objectives by offering my office was to show these young women that other women are in technology in Haiti. Other women are working. Other women are facing the same challenges, and they are succeeding. So during that camp, we also had sessions about work ethics, how to value yourself, how to present yourself when you're in a working environment and you're being challenged for being a woman, simply.
Yes. So Bettina, did you want to cover?
Yes. Hi. So thank you for inviting me, because I wasn't expecting to be on. If I knew, I would have told everyone. This is the first time I'm meeting you, Anu. Thank you. This is just an incredible event.
Thank you.
This is something I've been, inspired by, because my job, I run a design agency, Betty Media, and we focus on user experience. And as you know, in the crypto and blockchain space, it's messy, but it's a good thing. It's getting better, but it's still quite chaotic, as we all know. And so the last year, I've been pretty much doing a lot of user research, a lot of use case research. Not only that, but also learning more about the technology. Because as a UX expert, my job is to try to simplify the complex, right? Duh. But one of the challenges has been the mass adoption. Everyone is like, how do I use this as, yeah, nice to meet you. How do you, bring this into everyday life. So one of the things I've been doing is trying to find real people who are practically living on crypto. And I found a few of them, actually. This has just been, an amazing thing. And one of the things I've noticed that one of the things I've noticed for them, they love Bitcoin and holding their keys. They feel very empowered. But at the same time, trying to explain to new users these things, quite a challenge because of the language. And you have a lot of businesses continuing to build without a UX team, without a UX expert, and that is a problem. There are use cases out there that, we could be looking to with users, real life people, to test, but oftentimes that's not happening. And so one of my concerns is, there are several concerns. I think it's everyone's concern too. It's privacy, security, accessibility, inclusion. We talk about inclusion often in the space, but we forget that 5% of the world is, people with disability, hearing aid, hearing impaired, the blind. Just the other day, I saw a tweet where someone asked, how do I get on running a node? I don't know if you are familiar with running nodes, but how do you run a node when you are blind? And it's one of those things where wow, yes, that's one of the things that we need to discuss. But oftentimes in the business, there is this wanting to make things pretty, not really looking into what the users need. And the focus has been so much on the business side, which is, a bit problematic on my end. But yes, what I do is I do a lot of research, working with users. I personally am currently trying to deploy a node. And it's the most painful experience ever. I don't know if you all have tried it, but, trying to deploy this thing. And I've been learning from Andreas Antonopoulos, who stated even the smartest developers have a tough time running it when they first started. And so...
Are you a coder? Are you a coder?
This is another thing, yeah. So my past, before I started my design agency, I was in finance. I was a financial analyst right after high school. And I worked for Lehman Brothers, JP Morgan, Credit Suisse. And then around my space time, I taught myself how to code. We used to hack the interface. And then before the market crashed in 2008, I went back to school for design. And around that time, that's when we first saw the iPhone. And so I was on the cusp of the revolution, the technology revolution. And throughout that time, that's when I started really learning so much about where technology was going. And basically, 2013, I'm at Citi. I was brought in at Citi to do their UX design for their exchange platform. for City Prime Finance. And I remember, I can't say who, but I don't think they would want me to tell them, tell their private information, but they basically was telling me about Bitcoin. I knew about Bitcoin in 2013, and I thought, oh, silly, nerdy stuff, not interested. And then years later, around 2016, 2017, that's when I came across Andreas, was talking about the unbanked, the underbanked. And me being of Haitian descent and having lived in Haiti, I knew how that, how my people felt. We're the most entrepreneurial group of people in the island, I will say. But one thing we will say, but what's holding Haiti is the diaspora. We send billions of dollars in remittance to Haiti. And that's one of the things that we also, a lot of us in crypto are looking to build solutions to find ways to have Haitians adopt into crypto. And turns out there are many Haitians adopting crypto, but they're not speaking up about this. So it's quiet.
That is also, there has to do with the education, I think, in ways of not the individuals, but governments. We need to understand how to get governments to understand what does that mean, what is actually happening. And I think that, unfortunately, I come from a banking background, so I try not to lead with this digital thing that you have no control of, but rather with the technology and how the technology can then empower people toward a fairer and more equitable, and also even create opportunity for the government to have better civic answers. One of the things I wanted to do also, and I apologize, is to introduce Marina Spindler. And I think Marina comes in a great segue because she's working on an amazing project, which is looking on how women are actually using crypto and how it is affecting them. And this is something that she is working with the World Bank now to come up with. And I think that will help in... Now, I hate to use the word legitimization, but it will help in being able to create this better understanding and this wealth of data. So why don't you unmute yourself, and we would love to hear a bit.
Thank you so much, Genevieve. And Bettina, it was so nice to meet you. I'm happy to hear a little bit about your journey too, because I actually did the same thing that you were doing. And it was in response to so many really wonderful surveys that Coinbase and Gemini and several other groups have pioneered regarding, the use of cryptocurrencies and the surveys that they've conducted, except they were all US, UK. Right. And reality is women who need it the most, who would benefit from it the most, are in other countries. So over the past 6 months, I interviewed about 60 women from 29 countries. That was my goal, to make sure that it was as broad as possible. So from Ankara to New York to Buenos Aires, I tried to make sure that it was a very broad outreach as far as who could join. Yes, of course, it is the 1% of the 1%. These are women that love and feel empowered by the opportunity that cryptocurrencies have given them in their lives. And so we not only interviewed them for 45 minutes, but we also then surveyed them, right, to ask them questions about their use and how they went down the rabbit hole. And I can tell you, for example, that 74% of the women that we interviewed all preferred to be paid in crypto. and 34% have more than 75% of their investment portfolio in digital assets. I mean, that's pretty high. So that's impressive. Also, I think.
Hold on, Stephanie. It's still mute at the top. If you mute, we can hear. You know how the little icon at the top?
So I'm sorry, I actually muted her, Bettina, because there was noise coming from the background. So Marina, please go ahead.
Yes. So just
remember, I'm leading this room.
So I didn't say anything. I said nothing.
That's another thing, that all of these women are the type of women that are probably going to put up a chair at the table before there's like a question or ask. They are definitely pioneers. They don't often believe it, right? They don't believe they're pioneers, but the fact that we're here at the time that we are already means a huge deal. You arrived before Elon Musk, right? So yes, you're a pioneer, for goodness sake. And so I think it's really interesting. Also, one other thing that we noticed is about 33% of the women had moved countries, right? Whether because of their parents or because of work, willingly, unwillingly, different things with democracy, and obviously in very small cases, what I could tell is that if, for example, if they moved to a country where they didn't speak the language, having access to work or trading with cryptocurrencies really brought them back to the level of income or opportunities that they could have had at home, right? Because if you were a doctor or a lawyer, your job does not transfer in another country. It's very difficult. And so there were women from Venezuela, women from other countries where they went abroad and had very precarious jobs, whether painting nails or cleaning at a hotel. And because of crypto, now they were high frequency traders for local Bitcoins, right? They were changing their lives completely. Another young woman in Argentina said to me, look, I live with inflation that is ridiculous. I would love to get paid and die. Why? Because yes, I work for an international company, but the reality is that they give you the salary of the local salary. So it already means that I'm making less than my international counterparts. But not only that, 6 months later, my money is worth half what it was. So of course, I do everything possible to transfer it to DAI or other currencies because it's the only way to protect myself. There's also restrictions. You can only have, you can't buy more than $200 of dollars, for example, in Argentina. So there's a lot of things that make it difficult. And cryptocurrencies, I call it the borderless money, right? If we use borderless, maybe it wouldn't be so, we would have much easier adoption with the term. And I think, they are all hugely, hugely empowered. Another person told me, my money, my choice, same as my body, my choice. It can be a little bit explosive here and there, but I can manage it, right? I like to manage it. It's my responsibility, and that's what I want. So that's what we're seeing across the board, no matter where you go. They feel completely empowered, and we cannot speak blockchain without speaking cryptocurrencies. It is truly, I think, revolutionary in what is happening today.
I'd like to actually say that for me, I think that the cryptocurrency does bring in a certain amount of financial freedom, but I'm not sure that, I think that we need to actually, so when I look around the corner, I sort of see places like China, most likely banning cryptocurrencies. They've already started banning the mining in country. They are issuing their own digital currency. So the CBDC is going to change that aspect. So there are limitations in there. I mean, I'm not an investor, but I will get paid. And I'd like to actually say that the 0.02 Bitcoins, which I had left in my account because I was $10, which had no value in 2018 after the crash, turned around actually in January and provided me with over 1,500 in cash that I could dispose of. So those are, and I think that it's what's also necessary is financial literacy to go with it, because there is a certain amount of hedging that has to be done. Because unlike, let's say, fiat currency, where hopefully you will have the government which provides the checks and balances to allow for the money, because no one wants to have devaluation. What's happening in Argentina, it's not something that the government really wants to have, but they haven't had the mechanism to actually pull the economy in the direction that is necessary.
Years, and that's a lot of economies are in the same situation. This isn't
Exactly.
just 2 or 3, right? It's like 80% of the nations that have these issues with their currency.
Just so everybody knows, the currencies of each nation happens to be on DLT. Today I was reminded with Tessie, who was saying that, they on distributed ledger already. So what does that mean? Sorry, I should be clear. Databases. The US dollar,
but they're not on distributed databases.
Well, that's the thing. So here's
also though, those databases are controlled.
Exactly.
One of the things that Marina said, which was very important, is that idea of borderless. Borderless is not going to be but borderless is not going to be a positive. It can also be a negative.
What would be the negative?
The sovereign. It has to do me as a nation wanting to keep my sovereign ability. So this is where we're seeing China, India, the RBI, so the Central Bank of India, had made Bitcoin and every crypto illegal. Mm-hmm. There was a change to the law about 1.5 years ago, and they're again trying to attack it from a different direction. And they're looking at issuing their own digital currency. Now, what there is that if the application or the distribution of these CBDCs or central bank digital currency, even done to a blockchain, is done incorrectly, it could give a lot of challenges in terms of privacy concern. You can imagine that also a government gets on and a certain part of the society, they want to stop them. So they stop your ability to get access to cash. And this is something that's already happening in China. So there are positives to it. So when you have something like Bitcoin or Ethereum, which are open, you kind of have less control. But a lot of sovereign governments don't want to do that. Where I actually advocate is if, let's say, I'm working with somebody in China and I know they have difficulty getting dollars over to me, I will take the Bitcoins or I'll take the Ethereum. I'll choose which one I want and tell them to send that. And then I have the ability to actually liquidate them. We also have to look for some of these women, like in Haiti, if I wanted to liquidate Bitcoin, I wouldn't know where to start because it's illegal as part of the government.
There's no need to liquidate. I mean,
yes, there's a need to liquidate if I gotta pay my rent, if I gotta pay my food, and I've gotta pay my water.
This is where the use case that I was talking about in regards to there are now applications where you can purchase, where you can pay bills with Bitcoin. Lightning Network is that added layer that is being offered. So there's that scalability that is working on. The thing about it is, again, we have to be focusing on projects that are finding solutions where, yes, you can maintain your crypto, your Bitcoin, and that you can choose whether or not you want to make those payments. And they're out there. We just need to empower them and educate others about those projects.
But I would actually put it in your realm that the UI UX is also a challenge.
It is. And that is one of the solutions. This is one of the things that when you said borderless, this is what I love about borderless Bitcoin is because I'm trying to run a node. And so I think what it is that we haven't been explaining sufficiently enough, and I'm holding myself accountable, and other UX teams are starting to and sounding the alarm. We haven't been as vocal enough to state, here's some of the things that we need to start explaining to users that, okay, what does managing keys all about? What is running a node is all about? How do we try to simplify that process? How are ways we can have them pay and live on cryptocurrency? There are people who are living on crypto.
I think that's where some of us differ, because for me, I think that's the libertarian or the very edgy part of it. I'm more on the other side, which is I don't disagree with the existence, but I don't rely on it. It's the same way I don't only own a GBP account, I have a USD account also, because right now everything got inverted and my FX exposure to the GBP is way higher than I would have expected it to be. So one of the things, so before we go back to this discussion, I would actually like to get Stephanie, wake up, to talk, and she's on mute. Stephanie is actually one of the students who did the boot camp, and I wanted to have her really talk a little bit about the experience. She is a developer, and this was her first foray into Solidity. She also is a photographer. Yes. So when she and I were talking in December, we weren't talking the language the right way, but I talked to her about why not put a token on your pictures so that when people use it, and guess what? Now that's all the rage, the NFTs craze. So Stephanie, would love to hear a little bit from you.
Hello, I'm happy to be part of this table today, and I thank Geneviève for choosing me. And I was a scholarship holder to participate in bootcamp on the blockchain with consensus. I have to say that the subject was a bit new to me. I was reading articles on the blockchain on the fly, but during the training, I acquired a lot of knowledge. The experiences was fascinating, knowing the whole mechanism of blockchain, the method, the uses, discovering new concept, new language. I didn't know about Solidity, but it was new for me. And at the end of the program, I had to submit a project. It was difficult to me to have an idea. I did not yet see what I was going to work on. Days passed and I trust about that. And finally, I had a discussion with Geneviève. So she inspired me. Or she said I'm a photographer. She told me that I could do a project on a scale of photo with the use of the blockchain. So then I thought of doing an auction preferably. Suddenly I made my project about it. It was a little difficult for me to implement it. But I had some help. And Geneviève helped me about also. I thank you a lot, Geneviève, for your support. And I must say the work is not completely finished, but I intend to work on it to have a very good product and use it in real life. And and other Haitian can have an idea what the use of blockchain in Haiti.
Yes, that is amazing. And she's got another 9 of her cohorts also participating. And one of the great thing about this is that Joanne and I received an email earlier in the week that Consensus is not only giving us another cohort next year, but they're doubling it down. So we would love to hear from other women. And what I'd like to do is throw them the challenge. If there are other people in the audience who are from the Caribbean who are interested, please let me know. Get in touch. I'm on LinkedIn, Geneviève Lavelle, and we will be happy to get them to actually increase that. Because I think that I think it's all in well to be able to trade, but you've got to have something in the wallet to trade. You got to make money. And Marina was talking about how 33% of women have had to move, either because of an opportunity, being forced to, or not having choices. Like Zayi, sorry.
Okay.
I emigrated to the US as a teenager. And I had the challenge of learning new language and everything else. And my dream is to empower people to be able to get the best, the best salary, the best life possible with choosing to travel when they want, rather than having to go somewhere to make a new life. I've done lots of traveling, lots of moving around. I think I thrive on it, but I think that one of the things that, with all the negatives of the pandemic, the positive has been that organizations are not realizing that talent does not need to be local. Talent does not need to move. So we are at the cusp of a revolution, be it crypto, be it blockchain, because what I'm doing is I'm building solutions which are about empowering individuals. So we talk about democratization. There is opportunities for democratization in different ways, allowing them to evidence their income, to have access to financial services. And that work requires talent also. So if we're going to build solution, if we're going to have young women like Stephanie lead the way, we need to make them understand the language, understand what this is all about, and then be able to actualize.
I think I'm glad you brought up education. NFTs has been a great way for young people to get into the space, because, even though gaming is driving, NFT, and the art scene is driving, and music, it's always been the creative space that have always been a great way to educate masses and young people. And so there are many, many young people in that space, in that scene, that are doing it. And I think that's one of they have amazing projects. Right now there is this, they think it's of course it's in the media right now. It's being stated it's a trend. It's always existed since CryptoKitty. The gaming industry is billions and billions of dollars, and it's just rising. And young people are tokenizing projects and trading. And for the first time, you have amazing creative artists who had never been able to, charge or be able to live creatively and be able to do what they need to do and be paid for be paid for their work. And for the first time in NFT, they're being allowed to. So that's a great opportunity for that education to happen. Hi, Jane.
So hi, Jane. Hi, Jane.
Hi.
Jane,
Sorry, guys. I just came on for a selfie. You guys are awesome. I'm really enjoying your panel.
I want a selfie too. I want Joanne to take her camera on. If she can put her camera on, that would be great. We'll take a selfie.
Okay. Jane, you know that when this is over, we are beelining for wherever we can meet for that selfie.
I know, but where can
maximize colors?
I'm going anywhere.
Hold on, let me try to put some light.
Where's Joanne? Oh my gosh, it's so dark there. You're in Haiti.
It's not that dark in Haiti yet.
No, well, I'm actually in New York City, so it's already dark here.
Did she leave? Did Joanne leave?
No. She's not doing very well today.
The picture?
Yes. Could you turn your camera
I'm
on?
Here.
Oh,
I'm here.
You look great. Everyone
Thank
looks
you.
Great. Yay, ladies! This is so great. Thank you.
So I would love, actually, now that Jane has stepped in, and I think that some of the work she has done globally in really bringing into the forefront the mechanism by which distributed ledger technology can actually be used to really make a difference in people's life. She's been doing some amazing work with Kerala in India for a while, and also in Africa. And we definitely want her in the Caribbean because, we Caribbean queens, we always knew we were queens.
Hey, I'm coming. I just need a flight that's going to get me there.
You know what, Jane? I have it on camera now. It says Qrypto Queens Latin America, and your face is in there. So you're officially branded as of today.
Oh, no, thanks, guys. And I've been following a lot of the stuff going on in the Caribbean because it's actually small island states are innovating. And so you guys are really leading the charge. And it's fantastic to hear your stories. And I know Genevieve's work well, but, also some of the work that's going on with the central banks over there and so forth. And I really just appreciate what Anu's done, to be honest with you, because as she said, we've been on with Africa, now we're talking to you, and later today we'll talk to groups in China, Mongolia, Philippines, even Australia, but that surprised me, so I have to do Australia as well. But yeah, no, and fantastic. And also because I worked for many, many years in the Pacific Islands, and I think Caribbean and the Pacific has like a lot to share and learn from each other. So it's really great being here. And I think that some of the stories that you've been telling just makes for a really powerful dialogue. And one of the things, and Anu, maybe you can think about it, and we all should, is like how to get these powerful stories out, because that's what I spend a lot of my time doing, is saying, look, this is changing people's lives here and here and here and here, and this is how, and these are the people who are doing it. But there's not enough of that out there. So for people, it's either, crypto is bad and dangerous and used on the dark web and it's got no functionality whatsoever, or people just don't understand how blockchain works and all of the other amazing applications that it can have. And so I think, whether it's in financial inclusion or supply chain or in humanitarian settings, we need to create some sort of, maybe, Anu, like your movie, we need to get the State of Women movie remade to share the voices of people from all around the world, and especially the women who are working on it, because, that whole power of the she economy, we just need to sell that story and help women get into it and help them build.
So what you're saying is exactly what we want to do, like this, getting everyone together today. Like we have a team now that's in place, and those guys are like machines. I don't know if you had a good experience or bad experience. People thought we were completely nuts, but they got it done. They got everybody here. They got everybody trained. I mean, literally, we did this for 3 weeks. Now, we're not going to let anything go to waste. I would love to just like crank out content. And Marina and I talked about her research, and that's what I live for, right? I am global blockchain. If not that, what am I? I don't know. So it's like, ultimately, we want this content. We started doing a podcast with you. We'll do more podcasts once we find the right sponsor partners. We have our own apps now that we've made on Android, iOS, and on this new app that Spotify is not even on. So ultimately, it's like we have the content platform, right? So if you guys want to do stories every day, every week, every month, I
have over 2,000 hours of content.
Let's do it. Yeah,
so far. So it's pretty amazing, all the research that has gone into it, and all the voices that are from all sorts of places from around the world.
Great. So we're all going to partner. That's the goal of today. This is not just a, hey, how you doing? Like, meeting kind of thing. This is like literally, we're going to set action items once this thing is over. And Genevieve, you and I talked about it. And I think every woman that showed up today took time, made a commitment. We're all serious about this. And if we have tech, we share. If we don't have tech, we share with other people, right? It's basically, it's a beautiful, beautiful community of doers here. So thank you all for signing up. I'm going to let the other sessions in.
Yeah, I'd like to bring that it is not only a community of women. We have a lot of male allies who have come in 100%. To join us. And it is amazing. So one of the things I'd like to announce also is today, I actually solidify on April 1st, I will be presenting with Mercy Corp for a World Bank podcast, a webinar.
Wow, good on you.
Congrats.
So I'll be talking about the project in Haiti, and they will be talking about the work that they're doing with Diem, formerly Libra, and also the work that they're doing in Kenya with Cello. And if you guys don't know about Cello, that to me is where that whole crypto meets. And they are doing the employed in Kenya. So I don't know if you know, sometimes they're very repetitive tasks that need to be done. And getting somebody to do that work, sometimes the pay is way too low in a place like the US to get it done. So what they're doing is they're sending it to students. And as a result, the student gets paid in crypto, which then is put into local currency. And that gives them an income. So those are also projects. So there is a Cello, and there's also unbanked cash, which stated in Netanyahu, I think Netanyahu, which is a project, again, about delivering, we started out of disaster delivery of cash of people who don't have bank accounts, but can give them digital money. So aid coming in from the UNICEF and things like that, to be able to pay for food. And that's a project which is now taking off in Mexico. And the lady who's working from that is actually Caribbean also, but living all the way over on that part of the world. So as Jane said, there is a lot of opportunity for us to learn from one another and to also share. And not sure if you guys have actually gotten a whiff of it. The Caribbean is actually the first one to have a working central bank digital currency with the projects that are going on in the Bahamas, in Bermuda, and also now the Eastern Caribbean Bank. And as a result of this, in case you didn't pay attention, is the Office of the Currency then changed the law that allowed banks in the US to be nodes for both stablecoin and also central bank digital currency. That means that allows for liquidity and for the exchange to happen. So those are very important things, and a lot of it is being done in those parts of the world. And because that is really, as I say, like the cell phone, we all forget, but the first cell phone were not in our hands in the West. It was actually in Africa where they didn't have the infrastructure. We 25 years ago used to say, you want to call me? Call my desk, call my house. Nowadays, we all have that piece of hardware, and this is the way we communicate. So I think there is an opportunity now to really leapfrog and to use the ingenuity of need that we see in those countries to help develop. And this is why it's important for me to have partners like Joanne, because she's working with the central bank. She's working with the bankers, and she can break it down so that it is not just a conversation about crypto, but it is also a conversation about liquidity, and then getting them to understand more clearly and not blocking the access. Anybody wants to? And we had said also we would open the floor. So if there's anybody who wants to come in, please let us know, and we'll be happy to bring you to stage, or you can ask also question in the chat.
I'm just going to thank you all and leave you now. It's been so great listening to you, and let's stay in touch and do heaps of stuff together. And I'm coming to the Caribbean. Bye.
Oh, yes, we're waiting for you. Bye.
Bye.
So who wants, Zayi, sorry, I apologize. I know I hate when people mess up my name.
Oh, it's okay. Sorry. It's a really hard one. It's Zaji.
Zaji.
Yes.
Yes. So would love to hear a little more about the work because I think it's very fascinating. What you talked about is really the key to, if you have to remember a long number.
Yeah.
And if you get one number wrong, it doesn't go. If you basically get the wrong, and actually when I had a team and we got payment in crypto, and I thought about it. I said, you know what? I can go and translate the crypto into fiat and send to them, but then they'll never understand. So I told them, download this wallet, get this information, and send me your address.
Yeah.
One of them sent me Ethereum Classic instead of ETH. And thank God it was a wallet with Lighty, because then the Lighty team was able to retrieve the cash. But at that point, I kind of went, you gave me the wrong information. I have no mechanism to actually get back to you. So yeah. I really think that what you are driving is key to mass adoption.
Yes, thank you. And how I like to think about it too is like a bank routing address. It's how you get people to send you money. Is people in the past used to send it to your bank address, but now people Venmo each other or whatever app you have in your in the country that you're living in. There's now apps where you can easily send it to just Marina Spindler whatever it is that your handle is. So we're trying to simplify crypto payments in the same way so that you could just have a domain name that easily makes these payments possible. And I think internationally too, this is going to help because you could just send something much easier and shorter. You don't have to be typing in maybe one language and then another person doesn't understand the other language. I think just a shorter character domain name is going to make payments a lot simpler. And like you were saying, there's a lot of issues of even just the type of crypto you're sending, routing to the wrong addresses. So on our system, I would show you if I could present, but basically you can put the addresses that you want associated with your domain. So if you only want to receive Ethereum, you could just put an ETH address. So it makes it so that the money is routed accordingly. So it simplifies all that.
So another one of my favorite solution, I don't know if you guys are aware of What3Word. What3Word takes the your address, your GPS address, and simplifies it into 3 words. And it's available in almost 120 languages. So if you wanted to say your 3x3 location, so that you can either so it's used by rescue services in Europe. I believe the car manufacturers are using it also. So it's very much in the realm of that. And I would actually look at what they're doing because they have blown up. They ran a crowdfunding and they had to shut it down after 3 days because it was oversubscribed.
How does it work?
what 3 words. So W33.
So
And
they are cryptocurrency or
no,
Sorry.
it's not crypto. It's about addresses. So to me, what it is about how do we make people's life much easier? How do we give them access? So actually, in what we do in Haiti is we are implementing what 3 words to translate the location as to where a farmer is. And I'm not the only organization. There's another organization called Pan Bleu, which provides loans and credit. And this is one, I believe, is one of Joanne's clients also. You know, we're all in a family.
Yes,
And
my partners actually.
Oh, wow. So with what 3 word, you can then allow people in an environment where there is no formal addresses to give a location which is equal to their space.
And does the farmer basically provide that access of where their location is? Because the security issue I'm like thinking about.
There's no security. So probably I should explain how my system works. Fundamentally, an individual, in order to be part of any kind of financial system, you must have 2 things. And this is one of the things I worry when we look at CBDCs. You need to have a legal and you need to have a fiscal being. So the fact that when we talk about identity being an issue, this is the bigger issue of identity. If you're not recognized as a part of the society, you therefore cannot partake to either civic benefits and or financial benefits, because those require you to be viewed as an individual. So part of what is done is this is working in combination with government to actually, and they do the registration of the farmer. The farmer obviously needs to say where he lives. As part of your fiscal and legal responsibility, we need to know where you are. That also needs to relate when you're getting a payment from a bank, because this is not about distributing crypto. This is about using the technology to empower people and give them an equitable access. So they call, they say, I'd like to deliver this number of produce, and they will be given an address. But that address, sometimes you'll have to say, oh, you go about 100 feet and you see that wall, and then you turn around.
Happens to me in my house in Mexico. You cross
that puddle of water,
then you pass the what is it they call it? Then you go past the rodeo arena, and then you turn left. Like, this was exactly the way my mother sent the address to my family when we had an event at our house. Like, past the basketball court, past the rodeo arena, and I just couldn't believe it. Like,
but now
that is how it is.
I imagine
everywhere.
You can give 3 words in your language.
Incredible.
I've actually taken that. I've used it in Lebanon, translated into Arabic, copied it, and sent it to my Uber driver. And that gives you exactly the point of reference where you're going to be delivering the information. And I think
close
that
to what Saji is doing,
So
very close to what you're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
So it isn't about a security issue, because it is something which is, it's not available for the world to know. It's available for them to be able to have those services. And if you're servicing someone and you're not getting there on time, or if you're giving a loan to someone and you can't tell where they live, and you're excluding them because the government hasn't put street maps or street names, that is really something which empowers, because that's information.
Definitely.
So
I would like to add something, Geneviève. I think it also solves a problem in compliance, because with that you have not only the identity of the person, but you also have a proof of address.
Exactly. And that is the key. And so that allows them then to also, from that proof of address, to have the KYC, which is necessary for the bank to agree to actually service them in cash.
Exactly.
When their money is available, they get two messages. They get one message from the system saying you should be receiving this amount of money. And they get another message, which is an encrypted message from the bank with a number that they can go to retrieve their cash if that is the case. I'm advocating that we start looking at different mechanisms to actually deliver digital cash, digital wallet to them through their banking institution. Because I believe that that is a security concern for me. Because once people know that that much cash is available to someone, that could put them at great risk.
Well, I'm thinking also, yeah, but in Haiti, there is an issue with the unbanked. So the question is, how do you get the unbanked in the Caribbean and Africa onto the banking to get them onto these wallets?
I think that what happens is that unbanked thing for me is too broad. Because unbanked, India solved unbanked by giving everybody an account with $0 in there, zero INR in there. Unbanked, to me, to solve this, it is really about creating economic possibility. So what we're doing is empowering people to be able to be entrepreneurial, to understand the quality of what they need to deliver and get paid. There is no problem in getting paid if you have a fiscal and legal, and that goes back to the point I was making in terms of identity. So part of the work that is being done by the government is to provide them with that identity, to make them an individual that is recognized by the state as existing, which then makes for the finance, because you don't need a bank account. If you owe me $20, I just need the $20. I don't need you to actually give me an account. But what then needs to come in, and this is the next level of what we're trying to achieve, is the financial education. Not financial education of what people do with their money, because that's not my problem, but how do you make investment decisions? And that investment decision could be that they decide to invest in crypto assets, or they invest in a business, because obviously farming is very cyclical. So there are going to be times when you don't have income coming in. So how do you actually prepare? The other thing is that data that they have about what they are actually earning will enable them to avail themselves of loans, of credit that gives them the working capital to do what they need to do. And I think that's really how you bring in entrepreneurship, because that money that comes in excess, maybe I might decide to take and to start a business doing conserves of fruits. You know, I have them now, I'm going to do something, or I'm going to create a bee farm. Whatever it is, being able to understand how to then manage that cyclical aspect of their money is also very important. So I think that it's important to do not only bringing the technology, but also understanding how that technology is going to empower people to do better for themselves.
I was just going to jump in really fast and touch on two different things. One of them is that I think it'd be amazing if in some of this education, there was talks about decentralized finance platforms where, you know, these farmers, for example, can put, it doesn't have to be a lot, just a little bit of their money and gain interest in those off seasons. Where you were saying that they're not, you know, making.
You need to have the thing is you need that diversification. The thing is about
diversification. You see, what happened is that that's also putting in our lens on their reality.
Yeah, and it's a lot. I know it's a lot.
I think that what I'm doing is decentralized finance. I'm just not using a souped up word, because what we do is the money goes to the bank and the blockchain is doing the distribution according to what each person is owed from the proceed. So that's a form of decentralized finance. Decentralized finance in terms of investment one has to understand clearly the appetite and also the ability for people to lose what they have. If you don't have the appetite to lose, it isn't the right thing to do. So, and also my concern with DeFi at this point, it is very unregulated, and it is a mechanism of providing an asset for further liquidity to those holders, but you have no guarantee, as with when you'd make a deposit in the bank, that if that bank goes bust, that your money, at least at some level, is going to be returned to you. So I think it's great what's going on. I think it's amazing, but I'm also very scared because I see a repeat of the ICO world.
Well, this is the situation when it comes to DeFi. I think what it is that maybe the language is what scares many, and maybe the language should be, you brought up empowerment. It's really, at the end of the day, as Marina had said earlier, my money, my choice. And that would mean also my money, my choice, my own bank. I own my bank. I'm my own bank. And so I think that should maybe there'll be the language, because as you said, farming is cyclical. At the same time, also the fiat, the currency, is depreciating. There's a lot of volatility when it comes to the fiat. And so having the diversification of assets and liquidity, and also if you in crypto and various various alts and Bitcoin, I think that could be the solution.
No, that's your solution. That's your solution. I think that I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Somebody comes in and I'm going to let them say, okay, these are your assets. You can put it in gold. You can put it in crypto. I think crypto is better than gold because, there's no full gold in there. But however, that's somebody, what they do with their money. The same way, if they earn their money, if they want to drink it all, that's also their prerogative. I'm not going to tell them what to do.
Of course not. I think it's providing the options.
We also need to be cognizant that we have at least another 20 years before there is a change in the thinking of those who are in power. And what that does, what for sure, crypto and distributed ledger technology is creating a new world order. Whenever you have a new world order, those who are empowered don't want to let go of that power. And
I can tell you, Geneviève, one thing that we noticed with these studies is people like Zaji, forget it. They're already there. You cannot be telling them, like you and me or us, we're a different generation. We still live in different, to me, everything looks crazy and scary, but to her, it's every single day she's doing this. And all of the people that we spoke to, that's what they're doing on a day to day.
That's what they're already doing.
They're working together in clubs, in DAOs. They're teaching each other. They're holding each other's hands. This is not, literally, Marina, it's a completely different world. And they're going to skip us. They're skipping us. They don't care.
How do they come out? But I understand that. And I have no problem with it. I'd see it the same way as you had the cyberpunk. That's the new generation. But how do we make it? Because it needs to become ubiquitous. For total adoption, it needs to be to where my mother has no problem going into a wallet and sending, so
this kind of, but this is still the Wild West. This is still new. We're all learning, and everybody in the space knows, do not put more than when you're willing to risk, because there's all these things, and we all tell each other that. So there's a lot of protective mechanisms that are happening with the ecosystem and how we talk to each other. The fact that it's not all over the place, except on Telegram or Signal, like very private places, they're teaching each other and holding each other responsible. And, you know, Zaji was super helpful, and she taught me how to do the domain. You know, another friend from Aave walked us through about Aave. You know, it's a completely different world. Literally, a young girl told me, you know what, I can't get paid in crypto because I live in a country where fiat is still needed, and going from crypto to fiat is very expensive for me. But and I asked her about savings, and she goes, all of my investments, 80% of my investments are in crypto. So do not, I mean, this next generation that I'm like at a bridge, and I kind of like love it and live it. And you know, that's why I joined Meta Gamma Delta, and that's why I joined these DAOs and these clubs and Venture DAO, because they are really every day teaching us how to be responsible and protecting each other. I had a problem with something the other day, and one of the people that's very good with cybersecurity, she's like, Marina, this, check that, and the file, and look, the ether scan, and just, you know, it's so normal that we would, it's gonna be, like you say, it is ubiquitous to them. Maybe not to us, but to them.
Yeah. As a UX person, this is what I do. And because, you know, as you said about your mother, how do you get them in various different age group to adopt these new technologies? Our job is to try to provide, you know, the simplest way, a simplest solution. And so it's happening. It is happening.
Tell us, because I'm talking about you.
The 80s and 90s. I've seen them.
I would actually like to get Joanne to tell me about her experience a little bit, because I was in Haiti last month, and I made her download a crypto wallet and sent her money.
Well, I have to say that I am still very skeptical. I don't know which side of the fence I am, because I've worked 22 years for a bank, and for that bank I was the compliance officer working in the business intelligence department, working with anti-money laundering and fraud, and I'm still looking for the proof of identity, the real beneficiary when you deal with crypto. And I think Zaji's project is really interesting in the sense where you can, in one way or another, know the real identity of the person and sending the money. Because if not, this opens the door for a lot of money laundering, and we won't know how to stop it, and we won't be able to do that.
There are.
Yeah, but the smart contract is basically going to happen only if you and I have an agreement that moves it. However, when I basically chose to transfer crypto to Joanne, there is that pseudo anonymity in that one could try to find out my ID. But I think that one of the aspects you just spoke about, which is very important, is for banks and for compliance to agree, is to understand where that money is coming from. And actually I was reading an article the other day by Dave Birch, which was very much of an aha moment, where he talks about what is going to happen. Are we going to be looking for clean crypto and dirty crypto? Because we do know when the coin is created, where it's been created. Is it being done in a place like Libya, where they have decided this is a mechanism by which they can circumvent the sanctions? And if you can now tell that that crypto came from somewhere else, are you going to have a lower price for it? And also, where, if I am receiving it, am I violating any kind of blacklisting rules in my country of origin or where I'm actually working? So, thank you very much, Marina, for sharing that. So I think those are things that I think I agree, and I'm very happy to hear that there are some people who are further down. But at the end of the day, what we don't want is a marginalization of those individuals. We want them to become part of the status quo, and then to allow for others to join it, and really having the tools which remove these doubts from those in compliance is going to be key. Digital identity, because of what's happening with COVID, is getting a resurgence. It's 25 years old. The problem with it was always around UX UI. So now we can start seeing mechanism by which you can start using encrypted identities and digital identity to create that value and that exchange of value. Because I think thinking just, when people say, the smart contract has to be based on events, and it has to be based on an agreement. There isn't one needed across.
Yeah. Well, if you want that pseudo-anonymity, anonymous, I mean, think about it. At the end of the day, this is nothing so much about the end user, the end receiver. It's so much about the making sure both a party's privacy is not going to be met with hackers or any bad actors on the blockchain. So that's another reason why we need to start talking about individuals running nodes to validate some of these transactions. But why do you need to know who the other individual is?
I do. If I'm a bank, I'm a compliance person, and this is why I'm actually going to open. Oh, it's a podcast, so you're going to be sending it to me differently, Marina, so I can capture it for sure. But I think
I completely disagree.
Yeah, me too.
I think that we are limiting way more the people that are sending remittances of $100, $50 that really need this the most. And this episode that I just shared with Sheila Warren and Michael Casey, Money Reimagined, they also feature people who have been in bank secrecy, all of these laws. And they explain that the danger is bigger to the people that need it the most versus this money laundering, which is true, very lightly, very small percentage are money laundering. There's way more risk with just cash, way more risk with banks who have been in trouble for all the things that they've been doing with the banks have huger scandals, right? So
there's a $900 million. $900 million was accidentally transferred at Citi, and that these little accidents happen. This was just done by one person.
We're redlining the people that can send $50 from Kenya to Mexico, and they lose 20 just because of all these regulations and rules and the cost to send via the regular process. And now I believe in all of this, and I understand that I'm married to a regulator, so trust me, I'm not saying these things lightly, but that's why I say, listen to this podcast, listen to how they present it, and it just shows that we need to update the bank secrecy laws because they're affecting the people that are the ones that need it the most, the remittance people.
But I think that what happens...
Yes, indeed.
Sorry, go ahead, John.
What makes it attractive is the same thing that makes it dangerous. And this is, I completely agree with you, Marina. The law needs to be updated, and the mechanism for preventing money laundering needs to be updated. We need to find ways of identifying different signatures of money laundering without handicapping, if it's a correct word, without preventing people from being able to exchange without intermediary money at a very low cost. Because crypto is the future of inclusion. It's very easy, it's very fast, and it's much more convenient than traditional banking. If the law is not updated and the governance, like Geneviève says, is not done, we might be facing something that we're not ready for. I will look at the podcast. This is really one of my main interests.
I think, Joanne,
yes.
I want to ask you, when you first, let's say, I'm going to ask you, you can say yes or no if you don't want to answer this question, but when you first started investing, let's say stocks, were you not apprehensive? Were you not, nervous of what you would be doing? I mean, you have to understand, when we use new technology, it happens, when you first started using a computer, obviously you may not have known what you were doing. I think what it is that when it comes to risk, it's understanding that you have to take that one small step to get to the next step, and to get to the next step. That's how you learn. And so I understand
I think the best example, Bettina, I think the best example is not really the stocks, is the internet. I remember in the 90s when I was in college, when my parents wanted to call me, they had to go to the telephone company, then reserve a place, because international calls were not easily done throughout from a home phone. Then from a home phone, it evolved that you had to have a special code. Then from the special code, the net to phone revolution came, and the cost considerably was lower for everyone. And today we don't even need to use our phone to talk to each other. It's not free, but it's almost free. The law has evolved to allow such a thing to happen. And at the end, the consumer is the winner, because the law has evolved and the technology has evolved. More security was put in place.
Yes
no,
and
in
no,
what
because
sense?
but if we're talking about the United States, there is still a massive amount of where illiteracy in regards to technology and comes to the internet. That's one of the things that, the Snowdens of the world, the Antonopoulos have talked about, that many of the our policymakers do not have a good grasp of the technology, the internet itself. And so that's why some of the laws are still problematic. So I wouldn't say that it is the laws that made for you to eventually be able to do what you did in the past, to call your family, and to now just doing a text.
It is the law.
It is the law that allowed this not to be illegal. It is the RFCs that the tech companies submitted to allow 2.4 gigahertz not to be purposes.
I think we got disconnected. Okay, sorry.
It is the law that evolved.
Well,
it has to be evolved.
In what sense? Sorry,
I was going to say there are places where still e-laws are still not in existence. It is very much unnecessary. So I was reading an article, out of the 180 countries which are investigating a CBDC, only about 40 of them have on their books laws which would allow them to actually implement such solutions. So when we think about this, technology sometimes is much faster than the legal context. And the legal context is really about protecting the society in itself. So yes,
protecting the citizen that really benefit from the technology as well.
Yes. I was just going to share. Sorry, I was just going to share really fast that like in a middle ground of what we're all talking about, Marina and I were able to be a part of the Women of Color and Blockchain event last week, the national briefing event. And I know this is US based, and we're not necessarily talking about the US, but I think like that are great steps towards finding a bridge between regulators and then maybe someone like me who's like really into this like DeFi stuff, and I'm like I'm not even worried about regulation. And I think these are the kinds of conversations that are helpful for all of us. So depending on where you are in the world, I'm hoping more of those conversations can be had with governments.
And you know what happens is that when we think about it, the whole CBDC, is it retail or is it wholesale, is going to affect quite a bit of those countries which do not have the ability to, it costs them a lot of money to print money. And as such, they will.
It does. A lot.
Yes.
And so they will probably gravitate toward actually having some sort of a digital currency in order to save on that cash. So that is actually where I'm actually even more worried about the civil liberties that could be taken from people. But also, this is where I see a lot of opportunity for people to, the knowledge that we're getting in the crypto, in the blockchain, and the Ethereum world to be used to help in the education and making sure that the right solutions are implemented, such as many of those places do not have internet all the time, data access. Also, electricity can be of an issue. Your phone dies. So what does that mean? Does that mean you have no access to your money as a result?
It's networks and satellites now, they're circumventing these things.
Yes, but not all those. I agree with you, but they're not all available in all places. The mesh network, yes, but it's still very difficult to explain to people. So if you are...
Yeah, we're not there. I agree totally. We're not there. But it's exciting. I want to be here. I love it.
Absolutely. And what I want to make sure is those who are coming behind us. So some are already part of the movement, but let's get more people in the movement. Let's break it down into things that they can understand, so that they can participate and drive.
Of course.
And drive.
Well, it's the reason for so many getting into this space is because they've been hurt by the current system that has been in place.
No.
And so that is I understand not you, but we're talking about places in Venezuela. We're talking about places in Nigeria, in Haiti. People do not trust some of the systems in some of the places that they live. And so what they do is they take matters into their own hand. So, of course, a new technology, the media would say, oh, it's luring cartels or whatever. When in reality, the blockchain is the most transparent.
So I'm compared
to a lot of others.
Because I just spoke to a girl who was in the U.S. military, and she says, because my records are all over the place, I was in the military, and the military has crappy system of how they follow through with my health stuff, with everything. I've been hacked. My identity has been stolen several times. So the banks can just say, hey, I don't care, and you lose your money. With crypto, it doesn't happen. Nobody is going to be accessing. And so it was a reverse role, actually. She saw this blockchain and crypto as a liberation for her, given that the system, which is military, US, very, she had access to all the things that we have access, and yet she was being hurt by it instead of being helped. So even in advanced economies, it's happening where the bank decides that, oh, you identity theft, I don't care, and you can fight them, but they're not going to give you your money back. And that's what
there isn't any laws in regards to protecting people's identity, even in the, most advanced.
It is.
Yeah, well, let me explain.
GDPR.
That's GDPR, but we're talking about the United States.
GDPR.
Not so much data. Not so much in regards to data online. We're talking about, for example, credit report. A few years ago, the credit companies, was hacked. They didn't tell anybody until like a few years later that everyone's information was, hacked. And what happened? Nothing. Really nothing.
No, but actually that is changing. I'd like to
an example of what I'm trying to say to you is that people's identity, all that people's information is so much out there that at the end of the day, it's too vulnerable.
So
bringing back the pseudonymous provides that type of security.
But no, I don't think anonymity is the answer. The answer is using fully digitized, self-sovereign or identity markers, digital identity. And one of the things for me, when I came into blockchain, I realized I actually call it digital identity on acid, because this is the same technology, X509, being used in a chain, which allows it for more information to be carried. Also, as of this year, California and Oregon are coming out with laws which are equal to the GDPR laws. And it actually is a problem that many blockchain and crypto companies will have to become aware of, because where GDPR is looking at 4% of your global revenue in terms of the fees, this is actually going to start looking at that. So a company in the US losing your health record, losing your financial record, will be punished in the same way. So it is becoming something, but the protection of that information needs to start with the right steps and people being able to control and having a view of where their data is. So as Marina was talking about, that young lady has no control as to where her data is. What GDPR does give you is the ability to say, do you have my data? I want you to get rid of it or give it to me and stop using it. So that's also coming to the US. And I believe there's also a couple of places in Asia which are starting to look at that. Now, for us as a business in the space that we're in, because we have no borders and information flows, we then need to start looking at different mechanisms by which we protect people's identity. And again, why I am so really enamored with what Zayi is doing, because it is going to drive that whole aspect. And she dropped.
Dropped, yeah. She accidentally dropped.
Saji should be back soon.
Yeah, she'll be back soon. So, Marina, in terms of your work, when should we be expecting to see some of the results? Because I think that's seminal.
Sure. So I'm going to be sharing it with people at the World Blockchain Group and a couple of other places. And based on their reactions and where they want this to go, we'll have more information. Because currently the data is, I'm trying to be very careful since it is very sensitive stories of women from all over the world. So the goal is research first. And in fact, the reason that I also worked on this is because when I first started speaking to these institutions, the global financial protectors, all they wanted to speak to me about was the risk. And once we started seeing the data of the generation of Zaji and of the people that were answering the surveys, you could tell that they were super clearly aware of the risk, clearly aware of the responsibility. And because of that, they were thriving. So it's really important because, you know, we talk about gender equality and empowerment and financial independence. This is the first time in, I don't know how many years, where this is such a huge revolution specifically in empowerment. Now I am in charge of my account. And there was a lady from one of the countries where she said, you know what? I don't tell my husband what this app is. I tell him it's my app to track my period so I won't get my period on the beach. Like, he has no clue. And that's for the first time in my life I have that freedom that my money doesn't pass. And as you know, there's, I think, like 18 countries in the world. You have to ask a father or your husband for permission to get a job. And again, I'm not trying to be extreme because the cases that I'm showcasing are from everywhere, and they're from developed economies and not developed economies. I mean, we try to really make sure that we got diverse voices and diverse experiences. 95% have university degree or more, and yet over 45% have felt an economic trouble in their past, whether it was a devaluation, whether it was a financial crisis. I mean, a girl told me I was 10 when 2008 happened and my parents lost their jobs, right? Or you know, in Cameroon, when the devaluation happened, where the franc lost its power and they converted it and changed it, and suddenly she had not only half her money even half of that because it costs so much to get anything from abroad, since it's an economy that depends on imports, right? So there's experiences all over the world. They're all highly educated from wherever they went, and yet their education didn't help them survive a precarious job market. And that's really important, and why crypto is helping them survive in different ways and even thrive. A girl told me, I couldn't even buy a pizza. My parents lived on $1 a month. Now I can buy a whole pizza and even dream of buying a car and she was crying, for the first time in my life, this is a reality. I could have never, like any job you put in my country, nothing could make me be where I am today. And this is like 10 years, law degree, all this stuff. And these are the troubles that they're living and escaping.
No, I agree. But we know one of the things that my dream, and this is where I have not been able to actualize yet. And this is maybe my challenge to yourself and Zayi and those who are in this space. We have 20 women that I'm responsible for. There was over 100 scholarships given last year. I would love to be able to say that one of these women has been able to get a job, creating a solution for someone which is in another country and delivering. I'm not going to say I'm not working on it. I have somebody I'm like pushing, and I'm about, I gave him a little time to actually relax, but I would like for us to also amplify the fact that these resources are necessary. Everybody wants to do NFT now. Well, guess what? NFT is Ethereum. We got developers. Pay them in ETH. You don't want to send some cash? Send some ETH. But let's get them to be able to say that they could work from home, that they are using the learning that they have done, and that they can pay forward. Because to me, it's just going to be about them being able to buy that crypto. They got to get that money to be able to buy that crypto and to make, and it doesn't need, and that the beauty of those that is that many of these women are in places where $300 for a project will get you a perfect project. You don't need to go and pay $30,000 for that project. So let's make it happen.
Yeah. Please do.
It's a time investment, right? It is. I mean, it took me 3 years to be part of this space, and I have a master's degree from NYU, right? This isn't going to be like from today to tomorrow, but there are designers and people all over the place like Bettina that are able to say, hey, here's my wallet, send me money. And make it, right? A developer requires training. And I'm so excited that you're doing this, because one of the things that we've been noticing in space, Aji knows, everybody's hiring a developer, and they're looking for women. And yet very few companies are actually training in-house. I just mentioned Ethic Hub. They're the ones that are working with farmers. And the founder was telling us she went and spoke to a training coding institute in Mexico that's actually regional laboratoria, and she went and picked students from there, then brought them in-house, trained them, taught them Solidity, taught them what they needed, and empowered them. And I think that that's what you're doing, which is incredible.
That's what I do as UX designer, because
but we need to mentor and we need to give them the time.
We need to give them the opportunity. And I think that Joanne has been tirelessly making sure that the next set that we get will also be well placed. And also, so Joanne, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're on.
I'm sorry. You're breaking off. I don't know if I am breaking off as well.
No, you're straight. I was speaking of the fact that we are working
with the scholarship. We are working with the University of Quisqueya, with the rector of innovation and research, to try to find more students so we can give them a push, as I say, and get them on stage.
But I think that the other side that I need is for you guys to amplify those resources and being able to actually use them to provide the support that is necessary for them to actually. We are almost coming to the top of the hour. We have 10 more minutes. So I would love to give each of you an opportunity to actually, about 2 minutes of really, I had the best question this morning. It said, if you had a magical wand, what would you do with it? So I'd like to give to each one of you a magical wand and tell me where you would like to see and how we want to change the space. So why don't we start with Bettina?
I see decentralization throughout. I see empowerment, empowering women, women who are taking control of their finances. I see people making the decision of what they want to provide in regards to their identity and their data. I see people creating amazing projects and empowering other communities. And throughout, in a borderless system where we can be able to do transactions anywhere in the world freely without any intermediaries. And I see it coming, and it's happening. And I can't wait.
Great. Thank you very much. Stephanie? You're on mute.
Yes, I'm here.
So my question is, if you had a magic wand, what would you do?
How?
You would make another one, Steph? So you can have two?
So we'll think about it, Stephanie. We'll come back to you. Marina.
I think I'd really like for us to, I think I read somewhere where it said, be who you needed when you were younger. And that has really inspired me in where I go and how I advise startups in the space, right? If all the things that I lived, we need to be part of it, and we need to help in advance and not just give the warnings and the danger. We need to empower these learnings. And so that is my goal. I really, really would love to stress interoperability, because I think the wars between whether it's Ethereum or Bitcoin or wherever isn't very helpful. And I also would love to be focused on decentralization to make sure that that it's not just 100 people with the nodes or 1,000 people with the nodes in the best case scenarios, right? That it really is as decentralized as possible, so that we are banking the unbanked and not just unbanking the banked.
Zaid?
Well, that was so well said. How can I follow up? No, I think if I could, as many young women, the same opportunities I've been able to get. I've been so lucky that I fell into this crypto world and have been elevated way above where I would be if I wasn't in this space. I'm only 26 years old and I already run my own department. I trade in crypto. I have much of my percentage of my savings in crypto, as you were saying, Marina. But that's because I've been given so many resources by this community, and people have pushed me to grow. And I've met really great mentors like all of you. So my magic wand is just to try to repeat that with as many young women as possible, so that we can build a better generation to come.
Great. Joanne.
Well, Geneviève, you know where I'm from, so it has to be a very large wand. But if I would have to focus on one thing, I would say that more women in Haiti are empowered to go into the fields that they wish, that there are less barriers, let it be cultural or social barriers that they can put to use the knowledge that they have, that more transactions are done through crypto because of the transparency, because of the way it's built to allow more inclusion of everybody. And what Marina said as well.
So for me, I just want the cauldron. And first thing I'd like to do is, I'm sure you all have the same agreement with me. I would like to really say thank you to Anu for giving us this opportunity to have such a discussion. I know we're coming from various parts of the spectrum, but I think what we are all trying to do is to move the movement to really, because I don't see this just as a technology. I see it really as a life-changing opportunity for many. Not only in being able, because there's nothing like being home and being able to stay home for making someone happy. And so if we can stay in our paradise and be part of the global economy, that is key. And if this is the and I believe this technology will take us there. And, we talked a lot about the underlying power. We didn't talk about the power of data and the trust that is created. And that trust, and I've actually picked up a new word, which is called translucent, because it's not really about transparency. It's about translucent. And translucent is knowing that I trust that the transparency that is necessary is there when I need to have access to it. And this is, to me, what can empower women, because you can still be able to take care of your family, your children, your parents, while you are involved in this. And it's not only in the role of a developer. This is really all encompassing, because we're making changes to processes and how things are done and how thoughts are done. So we need all the lawyers, we need all the creatives, we need all the operations, the project managers, the delivery managers to be part of this journey. And I think there is a lot to be had, and we need to really change that modicum and make sure that technology is used, as we say, for the betterment of mankind and also the empowerment of women. So thank you, everybody, for your time. And it's been a great pleasure to be there with you.
Thank you, Geneviève.
Nice to see you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Very
See
nice
you guys
to see you
on the
all.
other side.
Thank you. Bye.
I left the survey link for you guys in the chat. Please help us.
I did.
Sweetie,
send it out.
I did.
Zaire, how do I get Zaire's info? Like
yes, Betty info too.
Unstoppable Domains. I know Unstoppable Domains. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful, guys. Speak to you soon.
See you
Bye.
guys. Bye. Thank you, Geneviève. Good to see you.